But I like to look back into the book of Genesis when it talks about one of the ways that God operated is he was a creator. He had a vision of what is good, and then he separated good from the bad, and then it could be blessed. And what's happening in our society now is there's no separation between light and darkness, between good and bad. It's all dependent on the person or the situation. And this is where our society where the foundations of our society are crumbling. And we have to continue to say, no, there must be a separation between good and evil, between light and darkness. And it says this, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. Now, when it says the earth was formless and empty, some of the Hebrew translations, it says, can say now the earth became formless and empty. Like, I personally believe what happened was Satan, the earth was formed, it was made beautiful, but Satan was cast down to this planet, and then the earth became formless and empty. Tohu vabohu is the Hebrew. And then it says that the Spirit hovered over the waters. And this is what we should feel. When you feel the Spirit, the next thing you should do is speak or declare, because you and I are created in the image of God. We are imagers of God. And when the devil came to tell Adam and Eve, if you do this, you will be like God. You see, the problem is that Adam and Eve were already like God. When you believe you have to do something else or add something else to be like him, you're deceived. I am created in the image of God. That means that my words have authority and power. And look what it says. It says in God, it said, let there be light. And there was light. And God saw the light, and the light was good. And he separated the light from darkness. So we see a pattern forming here, that when the Spirit's moving, we begin to declare and speak. And then what we do is we say, let there be light. We have a vision of what is good. But then we also separate the light, the good from the bad, or the light from the darkness. In Leviticus 10:10, it says, you must distinguish between the holy and the common, between the clean and the unclean. So we have a calling to discern between what is clean and what is not clean, between what is holy and what is common. And if we fail to do this, we're bringing the judgment of God on our life. If we're saying I'm a Christian and we're not living a holy life, then we're putting ourselves under judgment. So what we see in the book of Genesis, we see that's how the kingdom of God works. Here's Leviticus 10:10. But we see how the kingdom of God operates. There's a situation, there's creation, there's a vision for good, there's a separation, and then finally we see that God blesses that. But there's also in the kingdom of darkness there's a distortion of a situation, which leads to deception. Then there's a unifying of good and evil, or there's not a clear separation, and then we find our nation in bondage, or we find our culture in bondage. And this is what the foundations of our society we must have. Our foundations in our society be a biblical foundation, not a Marxist foundation. In Marxism right now, which is a very strong force in our culture, in our media, we call it cultural Marxism, where today you're not viewed whether you're righteous or unrighteous by how you act or by what you do. You are viewed righteous or unrighteous by the group that you are labeled in. And this is where our culture has become deceived. We are in bondage right now because there's not clear truth, and the lies are overpowering the truth. There's freedom of speech is being stolen from our public place. And these are constitutional rights and God-given rights, that we have the right to speak, to declare things. But instead, what's happening in our culture is there's no separation from good and evil. And the only thing that will lead to is bondage, deception, and destruction.